Aquarius, this is your June 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then this is your reading for the month ahead. Thank you for tuning in and joining me on the channel. It's Romy here. So we're into Gemini season, fellow air sign, speaking the same language as you. Now, you asked for better, and so we have to be prepared for a little bit of a clear out. And in that happening, I think you get to witness through the course of June some things come to light that might surprise you, maybe even some people that might surprise you. Yet ultimately, nothing I feel is going to pull you down or stop you from feeling into that sense of rising confidence and rising lightness. You know, there's a playfulness about fifth house energy for you. And there's a deep desire this month to want to create more space for spontaneous, for laughter, and for really not having such rigid, structured plans around you. So Seven of Swords can, feel a little bit irksome, but honestly, I feel like this is part of this clear out energy that's taking place. And when you take a step back, I think you're going to realize that perhaps some of the things that are shifting and changing, or the ways in which you're seeing things in a brand new light, are actually going to be incredibly supportive and beneficial for you feeling much freer. So there's a kind of richness to the month of June, and we're going to welcome this full moon in Sagittarius coming in on the 3rd of the month, 13 degrees, offering these new horizons as it trines with Mars, bringing a tremendous amount of passion. And I really see you early June, falling in love with something. Truly, it just feels like it captures your imagination, it stirs your heart a little bit. And, I think that it's going to offer you some really important reflections, this full moon in Sagittarius. Of course, it's coming in your 11th house. So again, there may be these sort of shake up, wake up energies happening in teams that you're connected to, anything that's going on in your community and your friendship circle, but also the ways in which you're interacting. Perhaps if there just hasn't been enough physical time with people who you care about, and you've just spent too much time online, or you're reflecting on how you can streamline things. There's an awful lot being considered, and I think that these reflections for you are also leading to some long overdue recognition. Perhaps you've just been pushing and hustling a little bit, and this is a month, especially in Gemini season, where we just need to kind of take a breath and really give ourselves permission to indulge a little bit. You do deserve this, and if we can't find that balance, then when are you ever going to get off that kind of an energetic approach in your life, and as you move into Cancer season, of course, 6th house, that's really going to be highlighted for you. So do the right thing in the first part of June and give yourself this opportunity to kind of create more space, to have a little bit more lightful, playful energy come through. This is really going to make a huge difference to your attitude, your energy, your mood. You really have to take care of that light. The way that you manage your life force, it makes all the difference of how you're going to experience the world. And that Queen of Water is coming in with a very healing, compassionate energy, and I think that needs to be directed towards the self. So we've got this full moon in Sagittarius, and there's a significance to focusing on one specific thing and really allowing yourself to take that all the way. Don't try to, be overstretched around this time. You may feel like a lot of people are wanting your time, energy, and attention in the first part of June, especially as we have Venus shifting into Leo on the 5th of the month. And of course, everything is all heart and passion, enthusiasm, and there's a sense of optimism, and it's a wonderful energy to work with. Our heart is truly on our sleeve here. Big gestures coming in. Lots of demands, though, I feel around you, especially as it's working on that 7th house for you. And let's be aware, right, that Venus is going to stay in Leo for some time, because we're going to be having this retrograde energy coming through, which is going to take place from July 22nd through to the 3rd of September. So we're going to have shadow energy from around the 19th of June. So what you need to be prepared for is that anything that comes up by way of themes, around the time between the 5th and the 19th is going to be powerfully revisited during the retrograde. And sometimes it can feel like a bit of a slowdown, and we can feel somewhat stuck or in limbo in certain situations where we felt we were off to a great start, or something had really ignited, we'd really bonded, we'd really fell into the vibe of it. And so it's just a little bit of a cautious note to say, look, anything connected in, of course, to these Venusian themes of how we value ourselves, our money, prosperity story, especially our love relationships. But for you with 7th house, even more of an emphasis. And I think, around this idea of the 7th house being like a mirror to us as well. Reciprocity is an absolute minimum, in the relationships around you. And I think you're going to go through quite an experience with somebody, over these next 2-3 months. And, it might not always be easy. You might already have been feeling into that challenge somewhat. But I think what happens when you come out of this transit on the other side is something is irrevocably changed in the way that you see yourself and how you take on the energy of others. And I think it will be an incredibly powerful growth lesson around any issues connected to like codependency, or where you felt overly entangled or enmeshed in particular dynamics or patterns that have showed up across different relationships in your life. So this is just a heads up in June that pay attention to like who you're interacting with, big storylines that are coming up connected to relationships or to money, and be mindful of overcommitting, overstretching, or the big gestures that you might not necessarily regret, but certainly have to revisit and go over again with yourself to really think about, what drove you, or what was the, emotional response you were having to kind of get inveigled in something that may end up feeling like it's a bit more challenging than what you'd anticipated. Now, that said, Venus in Leo is still like a beautiful energy for us to be working with in June. And again, like I said, I think you're going to be falling in love with something through the course of this month. We have this beautiful grounded energy of the King of Earth coming through. And I think this gives you a little bit more of a feeling of security where you need it. Now, sometimes when we ask for a sign, it's like a whisper and barely legible. And sometimes it feels like it's this glowing neon billboard, doesn't it? And so we don't want to attach to what we think or how we interpret whether, something is meant for us or not. Like, I feel like you've got some sort of a influence or energy coming in by way of this King of Pentacles, King of Earth, whether it's a specific person or just the dynamic of a situation. In fact, I think that somebody is really going to see your value. And I suppose my question is, do you in this moment? And there's no need to put yourself under pressure in regards to feeling like you have to show up or deliver something in a certain time scale. Like I think there's this opportunity to kind of really reflect on whose timeline you think you're working on. But nonetheless, like I think this represents like a powerful sign, even if it feels a little bit unremarkable to you initially, or you kind of can't get on board, or you don't really see what they see. But ultimately, I think this is going to be quite a powerful opportunity and a pathway that's going to start to open up. We also need to remember that, your growth is very uncomfortable for some. And so, you're also dealing with that projection energy just now. And so I want you to remember, like, if you're feeling into some situations that seem to have some strange energy, when you know that, what's going on is good and positive and successful for you, be aware of that influence, or, the unfortunate way that sometimes people can't always like be happy for us or get on board with the directions in which we're moving. Now, you have the energy of the Lovers coming through here, and it does talk to me about how we're looking to devote or commit or come together. But you can also see how at peace and restful the woman with the lion is here. So again, there's something important about finding that balance, especially if you've been going at it, full on, and how that sort of unfolds, especially in regards to some of the relationships that are key to you through the course of this month, is also reminding you that sometimes we need to kind of take a step back and allow ourselves to process like the progress that we have made, or kind of what's unfolded, what's happened. I think there are key conversations that are going to lead to some important decisions for you. Now, Mercury is going to shift into Gemini on the 11th, fellow air energy. And again, I think this is going to help you to articulate yourself in a more emphatic way. And that's going to make a huge difference, because I feel like someone hasn't just really understood or fully comprehended what you've been saying. It's like they've heard it, you've had to repeat it multiple times. And of course, now I think this is okay, it's really landing. And again, this doesn't have to be negative. It's just like you asserting yourself. But of course, we do need to remember that Saturn in your sign is going to be going retrograde on the 17th, same day as the new moon in Gemini. So it's an interesting one. We have this kind of push-pull energy where, you know, Gemini new moon wants to sort of take off like a rocket and really, you know, explore new ideas, be deeply curious, playful, kind of expand, you know, horizons, and just kind of really start thinking future focused. And yet here's Saturn sort of coming in with a little bit of a block, slow down energy, forcing you to revisit commitments, review your boundaries, reconsider long-term visions. And I think you will feel that conflict and that push-pull energy going on within you a little bit. It doesn't mean around that new moon that you're not meant to explore and feel excited and anticipate kind of where some of these ideas can take you, yeah? Because I think you've got some amazing things that are going to be showing up around that time, and really interesting, you know, progressive conversations. And yet there might be a timing aspect to this where we have to kind of release, you know, necessarily where we think we'd like it to, you know, start unfolding and sort of get on board with the divine order of things, or realize that there's something that we have to go back to kind of figure out, or to remind ourselves of the right way to do something. So you will feel, you know, the influence of that Saturn transit. It happens every year, so it's not, you know, anything that we're not used to. And it offers, of course, the opportunity for this profound reflection and, you know, the opportunity for readjustment. And these course corrects for you in the month of June are going to be really powerful. You're finding your wings here. And I think there's, again, this willingness to be open to new ideas, because I think someone's also going to show up and say to you, Aquarius, there's a better way. And you might feel a bit defensive initially. You might be like, well, I've already invested, or this is who I am, or this is how I do it, or you don't have the experience, or, you know, so just watch where you might feel a little bit taken aback by, you know, what you may perceive as their interference. And yet, I think the fine tuning that can come as a result of being open and really listening with a, you know, a kind of curious mind and open heart, it's going to be so well worth it for you. I feel like it's going to give you more time. And, you know, as we move into Cancer energy, everything is focused around the way that you're showing up in the world, your day-to-day rituals, how you're being of service, how you're taking care of body, mind, and soul. And your body will respond when you really think through what is being presented and discussed around the improvements that can be made, okay? So whatever area that shows up, really pay attention. Like I said at the beginning of this reading, you asked for better, which means that we have to be prepared for some of the clear out and the shifts that need to now take place, okay? So we're then going to, of course, welcome Solstice. Beautiful date coming in on the 21st, along with the sun shifting into Cancer. Mercury is going to be sextile to Mars, asteroid goddess Ceres in Libra. Absolutely beautiful lineup for this celebration of the light and the dark, this moment of stillness to really kind of think through what's happened for you in this first part of the year. And, you know, I think around this time, like, I also see you sort of making peace with something quite significant, maybe with a specific person, just realizing that you just want to let something go, that you don't have the same desire, the wherewithal, the energy, frankly, to be able to kind of maintain anything that just now feels like out of your field of resonance. And so there's a quietness to that, and there's an internal focus that just reaffirms and recommits what truly matters to you. And you know what, if you need to start again somewhere, it's your divine right. So keep that in mind, especially around solstice, because I feel like there's going to be a new option on the table that didn't exist before. And if that had existed, you would have chosen it. So you owe it to yourself to now explore it. And if that means that you have to kind of untangle or literally discard something that you've already initiated or begun, or even realize a new relationship isn't quite right for you because someone else has shown up or come back, then this is where you have to be like super honest with yourself. So keep an eye out around about that solstice energy. Of course, we need to remember toward the end of the month, Neptune's going to be going retrograde on the 30th. And here, like, the rose-tinted glasses get taken off. We get our cold, hard reality check where we've been overly illusional and in that fantasy too much. We're kind of brought down to earth with a bump. And, you know, that can feel harsh, but at the same time very cathartic, because you just realize perhaps where you've been wasting your time, or where you put too much emphasis on certain thing. And again, I think this is kind of freeing. It's quite liberating if you allow yourself to receive that message and those insights in the right way, okay? And I think that you will. I think because your body's going to be telling you, you know, to find some peace and balance in my life, this is what it's going to take. And you'll almost kind of be relieved that you no longer have to sit in that sense of waiting, wishing, hoping, because I think that's kind of tied up with something that, you know, you finally come to a place of acceptance is like, this is not working, or this is not going to happen. If you're new to the channel, Aquarius, we cover the last 3 cards in the extended reading where I talk for another 25 or 30 minutes. You'll find the link in the comment and description box underneath. So I'm just going to go ahead and clarify the main spread just to see what additional messages are going to come through and what direction we might be taking this in. So let's just do that just now. Now this month my soul meditations are covering releasing resistance to timelines. So that's going to be super important, especially as things are coming up and they feel like they're either about to run away or they're feeling like you just cannot get them off the ground. So we also have a journey to explore like transitioning major life changes, and again you'll find the links for all of these from my Sacred Soul support, which, you know, I put together to help you along with the soul stories. Queen of Pentacles we've got coming through here, another Lovers, and 8 of Cups. Let's have a look at this Hanged Man. Now all the decks that I use are listed below. And you will also see, of course, I'm highlighting my Life Soul Vision Oracle and my book, Moon Musings. So if you enjoy my work, please do check these creations out. They are chock full of soulful wisdom and guidance to support you in your journey. Okay, 8 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, 9 of Cups. We've got another 7 of Swords coming up there. Kind of do feel like someone is lying to themselves a little bit, and you can see it clear as day this month, but you know, sometimes we have to just let people have the experiences that they've chosen and realize, you know, the role that we're meant to play. It's also a month where we're seeing the asteroid goddess energies move signs. Of course, I talked about Ceres shifting into Libra on Solstice, but on the 22nd, we also have Juno moving into Cancer and Vesta shifting into Gemini. Now, if you want to explore in regards to your own personal natal chart, like how these goddess energies affect you, then again, you can check out my report in the comment and description box. We also have an angelic one as well. Okay. So this is my deck, Life Soul Vision Oracle. We are going to go ahead and use this to also clarify your reading for June, Aquarius. Soul Star energy, beautiful. The Gathering. Vortex of Boundless Grace. Spirit Horse, beautiful. Sacred Soul Union. I mean, you have like the Lovers showing up, and this card, like I said, like falling in love, like finding the sense of devotion or commitment, not even necessarily to a person, but just to something where your heart is moved powerfully in June. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it, is what my guide's saying. Okay, let's have a look at the Enchanted Map Oracle for you. Now, when you join me for the extended, we will also look at a personal question for you. It might not have come up in the main reading, as well as a advice card for a key relationship in your life. And of course, go back into the main reading here, into the unknown. Beautiful. And finally, we'll just look at an astrology card that we can bring into the conversation when we continue. Okay, you have Vesta, of course, Vesta moving into Gemini on the 22nd. Thank you so much for joining me, Aquarius. I appreciate you. I'm sending you beautiful blessings for this month of June. If you're joining me for the extended, I look forward to continuing this conversation then. And otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.